Okay, guys, what's up? It is Nacho Don. I'm coming to you today to talk about Ethereum. Uh, you know, Let me just set the groundwork for this video that I'm going to do here in a moment. And I wanted to say that I've never been an Ethereum guy. I got into Bitcoin in 2014, 2015 because of my libertarian views, and it really paid off for me. Okay, so being I've kind of been a contrarian for some time now, and with financial things, I find that it really pays off big time. To be contrarian, so I'm pretty thankful to God that I've kind of taken that route. But aside from Bitcoin, I was very hopeful on Bitcoin and everything, and then I sort of went into the Bitcoin Cash Monero camp, and I'm still there. I still definitely have a few. At least a few toes in that water, if not, a good chunk of my portfolio and things like Monero. But and I believe in Monero because it's private by default. It's fully fungible. But that's a discussion, maybe for another time. I've always said that for the past, for the past year or so, at least past couple years, that Monero is the better Bitcoin. If you're talking about a store of value, Monero does it better. It's more decentralized in my opinion. And this isn't a Monero video, so I'm not going to get into it. But there's always been this argument that Bitcoin, from the Bitcoin maximalists and the people that you'll see on Twitter, and perhaps what you see in the media, they talk about Bitcoin first, right? Because it's gotten that credibility. But what I want to talk today is a little bit of an epiphany I had, and I feel like it's coming a little bit late. Sometimes I'm not on the cutting edge of everything, but I want to talk to you about Ethereum, and I want to talk about what's going on in this space right now, which has just absolutely blown my mind, especially over this past weekend where I've given it a lot of thought, and I've come to the conclusion. Now, I felt this a while ago as sort of like more of a guttural instinct sort of thing, that Ethereum was going to pass Bitcoin within the next couple years in terms of market cap. And now I'm more convinced than ever that that instinct that I had is the correct one. And without this being as a video that is going to trash Bitcoin, which I have done in some previous videos in the past that I've done, and express myself about how BTC Bitcoin has become, I call it, a very expensive shitcoin because it really doesn't do anything. There's no smart contracts enabled on top of it. Vitalik Buterin, who wanted to build Ethereum on top of Bitcoin, was absolutely just blocked and stonewalled, and that's why he had to go outside of the system and create Ethereum. And so now we have this Ethereum, and Ethereum's been cool. There's been a lot of interesting things, the ICO phase in 2017, where companies were able to raise massive amounts of capital in a decentralized manner. Nobody can really stop you from getting in there and getting and participating in token sales that only in the past venture capitalists and elite people would be able to take advantage of. And a lot of people rode those waves, and a lot of those projects are doing terrible now, but the fact is that it led to a certain type of financial freedom. And what's happening now in the space with this decentralized finance, and some of you might have heard about this if you're following it even remotely, you're starting to hear about DeFi, right? So what does DeFi stand for? DeFi is decentralized finance, right? So decentralized finance could be a number of things. And let me just show you a couple examples, all right? So one is this Uniswap. Another is Bancor. Okay, now these are all exchanges on Ethereum. Okay, now Bancor is a little bit interesting because you could also trade ETH tokens. They have like a bridge in between, so you could actually trade ETH tokens versus ETH tokens and things like that. So that's pretty unique. Kyber is pretty much this same thing. They're doing a lot of different things, liquidity providers and things like these. These kind of systems are going to be, in my opinion, the new banks or banks/exchanges, financial services of the 21st century. Now, I'm not saying these three in particular. I'm saying in general. So I'm just showing you these three to give you examples. Okay, so Kyber is a well-established one now. They've been around for years. Now there is this big movement going on called decentralized finance, and it's beyond what we could even imagine how big this is. And I got into this past weekend by doing some of what's called this yield farming, where you lend money to one of these platforms, and it's literally as easy as clicking a couple buttons and, connecting to your Ethereum wallet, and then lending money, lending a token or whatever, and then getting an interest rate on the daily, and you can pull out your money at any time. And in exchange, at the moment, they're providing certain coins. They're called governance tokens for the future of these decentralized platforms, because remember, they're not going to really have a CEO or anything like that. These are going to be decentralized, so it's going to be run by the user. So by the amount of tokens, governance tokens that you're able to get for these platforms, like Curve FI, like Yearn.financial, there's a bunch of them now. Balancer is another one, and they all have their own tokens. The governance tokens are going to enable you as a sort of, in some cases, almost equity in the platform, decision-making processes in the platform about how fees are paid out to and what fees are charged and things like that. So this is what's going on with what's called this yield farming in this decentralized finance space now, and there's a lot of hype around it because these coins are being highly speculated on. One that I'm involved in right now, let's look at CoinGecko, and it's called, I'm earning this thing called YFI token, and Yearn Finance. So this is a brand new thing, and each token is valued at $873. Okay. And it got as high as $2,000 and some dollars. So I'm going to be earning some of this token. There's a max supply of 30,000, so that's not very many. And, if I could get a token or two of these over the next couple of weeks, that would be great. And then I might just hold on to them and see what happens in the future, because you never know. Maybe if this Yearn Finance really takes off and they become like one of these, like what I'm saying, like one of these banks of the 21st century, one of these new financial hubs of the 21st century, these tokens could literally be worth $20,000, $30,000. In my opinion. Okay, not financial advice. I'm just a guy that wears a Daydreamer t-shirt. Remember that. But this is not, in my opinion, this is smart speculation, right? Because like what we're seeing here is a dawning of a new age of finance. Keep in mind, one of the strengths of these platforms is the fact that I could go on Bancor or I could go on Uniswap, and I could literally just plug into my Ethereum wallet, and then I can trade for any token here. I can select any of these tokens and just trade into it without anybody approving me, without anybody having to see my driver's license and see if I owe the government any money, if I'm approved. I could just do it. It's totally permissionless. So I could trade for any one of these tokens. Now, again, these are all Ethereum ERC20 tokens on this particular platform. And, so it just shows you, though, how big the Ethereum ecosystem is becoming, and how seamlessly frictionless and how easy it's becoming to use. And I can tell you that once you use Uniswap or Kyber or something, you are going to be impressed, right? So you could take your USDT. If you trade some of your Bitcoin, you can move it over onto your private Ethereum wallet through your Ledger, through your Trezor. And then you can trade it for any one of these tokens as well. You could trade one token for another. They provide the liquidity here, and then there are people that are also providing liquidity through these liquidity pools. And without getting too convoluted here and getting into a discussion of decentralized finance, because I'm still actually trying to get my head around it itself, I think the important thing to realize here is how much of an opportunity this is. And what I wanted to do for you guys out there, especially you customers of mine and those of you who might be watching for the first time, I do have shares of the Palm Beach who help me pay for it, and I share the information with them, but I also like to give value add videos to you guys to tell you kind of where I'm thinking as somebody who's been in this space for a number of years, and I don't have really any agenda. I don't really, there's nothing I really want to shill or sell or anything like that. I'm already sending out the newsletter to a number of people who are sharing the costs of it with me. If you want to be a share, just get in contact with me. Look below this video and you can find information on that. But for me, it's about let's all ride this rocket together. Let's all enter into a new phase of freedom and liberty and humanity, especially in light of what's going on in our society, in our world today, where they're just they're trying to muzzle us. They're just trying to do all this bullshit, and it's sad. But I am so hopeful when I see these things where I can partake in a new paradigm in a permissionless way. Okay, so I want you to if you haven't researched DeFi and if you haven't looked into some of this stuff, and if you have any kind of aptitude for these kind of things, for finance, for lending, for exchange, like we're seeing here with Uniswap and with Kyber, check these things out, because and I'm not saying go out and buy Kyber token or whatever, and there's not even a Uniswap token yet, but I'm saying try to get your head around the financial freedom that this leads to, permissionless finance, okay? Because this is what is going to make Ethereum shine. Now, what I wanted to say too in this video is that I really believe that Bitcoin is basically done. I have moved out most of my Bitcoin holdings into Ethereum because the reason is I believe that Bitcoin simply makes Ethereum makes a better store of value than Bitcoin. Now, they're always telling us, oh, Bitcoin is a store of value. It's not meant to... Oh, no. We're going to ignore the white paper. It's just supposed to be gold 2.0. It doesn't matter if it becomes thousands of dollars to move in the future. That's actually a good thing. We're going to have layer 2 solutions for that. Well, guess what? Layer 2 solutions are going nowhere. Nobody is interested in layer 2 solutions. We want fast things that we can have custody of our own money on chain, and you can do that with Ethereum now, although Ethereum is getting bloated, and that's why they're moving to 2.0 Ethereum. Let me see if I can find that. Okay, so Ethereum 2.0 is moving towards proof of stake. Okay, and there's a little bit of anxiety in there about this. We're going to move from proof of work to a totally different system with all these billions of dollars that are already built on it, and all this DeFi that's actually blowing up in a good way. I mean, blowing up big, right? And it's exciting. It's super exciting. It's super liberating for humanity. I can't stress this enough. And we have now a launch date for Ethereum 2.0. Well, a possible launch date, let's say. I'm going to predict this won't happen until 2021, because they've got to check a lot of things, and they got to make sure that a lot is right, and a lot, nothing goes wrong, because there's so many. Like I said, there's so much money and stuff riding on this. And so I almost hope they take their time. I hope they get it down, really well before they actually launch it. And that's okay. But the point is that something better is coming, and something more scalable and more sustainable. You can even say, more economical and things like that. Proof of stake versus proof of work. Now, the thing is, too, with Bitcoin, they're going to tell you that it's just a store of value, right? You're not supposed to really be able to transact with it online. The last Bitcoin transaction I did, I think, cost me $5 in some cents. Another one the other day cost me like $4 in some cents. I mean, this is low fees, right? I can't demonstrate Bitcoin to anybody anymore. If I go to show my friend, oh, here, let me send you $2. Well, that'll cost me, $6 to send that $2. So Bitcoin is a joke, and in my opinion, the reason why Ethereum has become a better store of value is simply because now you can make some arguments of like which one's more secure. We could say, okay, well, Bitcoin is more secure. There's more miners and all this securing. There's more hash rate and all that, but Ethereum is very secure. Okay. And it's going to get probably even more secure over time, and what is going to happen is, I think a lot of the hash rate from Bitcoin is going to eventually drop off and go into other projects, and eventually dissipate. Okay, and then Bitcoin, I think, becomes a little bit less secure over time. Okay. Now, another thing that I think is going to drive the value, the an SOV narrative for Ethereum, and when I say SOV, I mean store of value narrative, which Bitcoin is like, oh, well, where are the store of value? Is that Ethereum? Why can't Ethereum be a store of value as well? I'm not even talking about all the amazing things that are going on Ethereum right now. I'm talking about it as a store of value. In other words, if you're going to invest in crypto, where are you going to put it where it's going to be safe, where it's going to have the highest chance of at least steadily over time going up? And I would say, at least at this moment in history, okay, it is Ethereum. So if you have some core holdings, and this is just my suggestion, right? Remember, I'm just a guy who wears a daydreamer shirt. You want to put most of your assets, your base assets in crypto, I believe, in Ethereum, because I think Bitcoin, sure, Bitcoin still might go to $100,000 or $200,000, but remember, if that goes that high too, Ethereum, the USD value and stuff is going to be going up alongside of it, and I think it's going to be going up more because again, you want to compare how Ethereum is performing next to Bitcoin, not just USD. So, what will drive Bitcoin's value in the future? Okay. Now, they'll tell you that, oh, it's the best form of money in the world and all this. And if you read idiotic books like by that Safadine guy, or you listen to a moron like Tone Vase on the internet, on YouTube, they call everything else a scam. Okay. Well, I've just participated in some of these decentralized financial networks, and I know it's not a scam. I know it's completely liberating, and it's going to change the world. I haven't been this excited about the future of humanity and the future of crypto, okay, as I was this weekend when I did a deep dive into this DeFi stuff. And not even a deep dive. I tried to deep dive, but I'm still like on the surface. And because there's just so much to it, and there's so much going on, and there's so many smart people working in it, that it's super powerful. So the question is Bitcoin versus Ethereum, right? Like, what is going to drive Bitcoin's value in the future? The only thing that's going to drive Bitcoin's value in the future is that somebody comes in back of you after you bought the coin for $9,000, and they say, I'm willing to pay $9,001. And then someone else comes in and say, I'm willing to pay $9,002, and so on and so forth until the price goes up. But what is the underlying value and utility? There really isn't any anymore. And as a guy who's been in this since 2014-15, I've seen the utility literally start to dissipate into the point where it is today, where it is almost non-existent. Okay. Now, the goal of the Bitcoin maxi pads, as I call them, is to make Bitcoin really only usable by the elite, as a banking settlement layer. But guess what? Banks are not going to be using Bitcoin. That is a fantasy of the Bitcoin maxi pads, and it's just a bunch of nonsense and a bunch of stupid rhetoric and fantasy that they have, that banks are going to be forced to use Bitcoin. It's not going to happen, and I would argue that even Ethereum would do a better job at that. So we have in Ethereum, again, Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Which one's the better store of value, right? There's so much going on Ethereum that I think it's safe to say that there's just so many things that will drive the value of Ethereum, okay? Some are, yes, the fees, right? The block reward, things like that. In the future, there's going to be staking. So if you have 32 Ethereum, you're going to be able to stake the Ethereum and get a cut of those fees for securing the network, just like there is going on in many of the crypto projects. And in Bitcoin, you have nothing like this, okay? As a matter of fact, the developers treat the miners like crap, and really the miners should be making more decisions in Bitcoin, but that's sort of a side note. But Ethereum has so much utility. There's so much underlying value that there's just no way that that doesn't lift lift up the price of Ethereum here over time. Okay, so am I shilling Ethereum here a bit? You bet I am. And the reason is because of what I've seen these smart contracts on Ethereum are able to do, and the utility and the value that is being built out on top of the Ethereum foundation. Okay, and a lot of that is it's got to trickle back into Ethereum in terms of price because of the utility. People are going to want to hold on to it because would you rather hold on to something like BTC, which needs what's called the greater fool to come in back of you and buy it up in order to push the price up? Like you buy some Bitcoin and then you cross your fingers and you just hope and you pray that some institutions really buy into the hype and they come along and they say, yeah, we love this Bitcoin thing. We're going to push the price up and push the price up. You have to hope that people keep coming in and just pushing that price up. There's nothing underlying that's going to push the price up. Nothing besides the SOV, we're the best store of value in the world, we're the better gold narrative. That's it. It'll never be used as payments. It will never be used as things because all of these things have failed on Bitcoin. The fees are so high. But in Ethereum, it's a totally different story. Everything that gets built on Ethereum, theoretically and practically, feeds value back into the base layer, which is Ethereum itself. And so you've got to ask yourself, which is actually the better store of value? And I would argue that it's Ethereum. I don't think it's much of and I don't think that I'm giving any kind of revelatory news here. Okay, I think that this is just basic and sound fundamentals, in my opinion. But a lot of times people can't see that kind of thing because you're watching TV or you're watching this or you're reading these news articles, which are biased for one reason or another. Okay, and then you end up thinking, oh well, Bitcoin's the Mac Daddy. I mean, we got to have some Bitcoin. I don't think you need any Bitcoin in your portfolio, and I think that Ethereum is going to absolutely crush it and kill it. Not kill it. I mean, Bitcoin will still be around, but it's going to be like something like relegated to a museum. That's where it's going to belong. Okay, it's outdated, it's outmoded, doesn't have smart contracts. These liberating technologies and decentralized finance. And decentralized finance, that's just one area, right? That's just one area for these utility tokens. It's just amazing. So we have these DeFi tokens are skyrocketing now. If you want to get in on that, I'll just tell you in a second how to learn about this. Ethereum flipping stablecoins to become the most used blockchain. So now Ethereum is being much more used even than Bitcoin. And that is just going to go like this. It's just going to keep going straight up in use while Bitcoin just stagnates. It can't do any more transactions. It's already maxed out, and they won't expand the blocks. So RIP Bitcoin, okay, and that's kind of what this video is about. And for those of you who have big positions out there in Bitcoin, I would minimally encourage you to balance your portfolio and at least have 50% of that. If you had a Bitcoin stack and you had like barely no Ethereum, I would say put at least half of that to 75% into Ethereum from your Bitcoin. Okay, this is just going to get bigger. I've seen the light on this, and I'm just sharing this because I feel like I should, and because I want people to be free. I don't want to sit on good information and knowledge that I have. Okay, so is this in a bubble? Well, some of these projects that have gone up 2,000% or whatever already, yeah, they might be in a bubble. I don't know. I'm following a lot of them closely now, and I'm gonna. I don't know if I'll talk about them in the future on these videos, but maybe I will. It's complicated, but if you can get your head around it, I think that at the very foundation of it, remember that all of these DeFi things, or let's say 90% of them, are being built on Ethereum. Okay, so if you want to partake in this DeFi movement, the easiest and most simplistic way is to simply buy Ethereum. Okay. Now you might not get those 2,000% gains, but you're going to help your portfolio out a lot. Okay. Now remember here, remember I just did that video where I called Link. Man, this thing looks kind of scammy and weird. And I showed that paper. If any of you watched the video, there you go. Down we go, baby. Who called it? I called it. And, that paper was kind of set my eyes open to this. But, Link is on Ethereum, and at least for now. And, there's going to be scammy projects built on the foundation, right? It's like, think about the foundation as like Ethereum. It's like, you can have skyscrapers built on the foundation, and you can have little tents, you can have paper mache houses too. So it's not the fault of Ethereum if Link turns out to be scammy or anything. But at the very least, I think this is just a bit of a drawback. We're down nearly 25% from the top. So, keep that in mind. Now, for those of you who want to learn about decentralized finance and you are a Palm Beach Confidential subscriber with me, a Palm Beach Confidential share, there is a publication called the Palm Beach Crypto Income Quarterly. The Crypto Income Quarterly it's head and shoulders above the Palm Beach in terms of cutting edge. Okay, so they're on this DeFi thing. They just had another report came out about DeFi this just the other day, which was completely all about DeFi and yield farming and what it is. Okay, now you could go online and learn about this yourself and do the deep dive. But if you want to be up to date and you want to follow the Palm Beach picks in DeFi, I think you got to have the Crypto Income Quarterly. So if anybody wants that, get in touch with me. And I would encourage you, especially, look, I mean, what is it to become a share of that? A couple $100. I'm not telling you this because it's going to change my life to get a couple $100 more to share it. I'm already sharing it. If you want it, get in touch with me, and you can become a share of that publication because I think it's invaluable. I hadn't even been buying all the picks in the Palm Beach Crypto Income Quarterly. And I'm so regretting it now because they made the calls on some of these DeFi projects way before they popped. And now they're up thousands of percent or hundreds of percent. And it's like, oh my goodness, I need to pay more attention, right? So anyway, if anybody wants to get involved in that, just hit me up and I will get you started. But yeah, consider the fact of Ethereum. The main message here is that I think Bitcoin is pretty much is sunsetting in a way, and I had a couple other points in the future. Also, I wanted to say about Bitcoin again. Hey, I got to trash Bitcoin because they turned it into trash. But luckily we have other things to use. Part of my thesis is that when Bitcoin in the future, if it does go up in value, let's say, and people FOMO in, and now we're at new all-time high, 20,000, 30,000, and that's only a 2-3x from here. Big deal. You could get that in many other cryptos like in a couple days. All right. Part of my thesis is that it will become so expensive to move Bitcoin, because I've experienced this already with $250 some fees. It will become so expensive to move Bitcoin that anybody new into the space, it will sour people of trading in and out of it. And I suspect ETH will greatly outperform it in the coming years. Because if you go into trading, right, and you start to you're moving your coins from your personal wallet to your thing, and you're having to pay $10, $50, $100 every time you do that, that is madness. That will not work. People will not do that. So I think Bitcoin is really dug its own grave. Just in that regard. So even if the higher Bitcoin goes up, and the more attention it gets, and the more people that come into Bitcoin, the higher those fees are going to go. And there's no plan to scale other than these idiotic second layer solutions that don't work. And that nobody's interested in. You don't want to give custody of your Bitcoin to some company and then just so you can transact faster on the second layer when you could use other cryptos to do it and keep the full control yourself. This is just so I think it's going to sour a lot of people when I think it's going to sour a lot of people when that happens, and it will happen again. That is if the Bitcoin price goes up. If it just stays at 9,000, well, maybe people will be okay with $5 fees, $6 fees, and then Ethereum takes off, and then people just forget about Bitcoin. That could happen too. So I look at Bitcoin as a dying town. It's like, some of you grew up in like a small town, you're like, wow, you just like small-minded people, and you just like, you can't have an intelligent conversation with anybody, and like the industry's leaving, and people are just depressed, sitting around smoking cigarettes and drinking. It's like, I want to get the hell out of this town, do something with my life. I feel like that's Bitcoin right now. It's a dying town full of losers. Now, here's another thing about Bitcoin. I did show you the Kyber network. I did show you the Bancor. I did show you the Uniswap. These are all, you just plug and do it, and it doesn't matter. Nobody can stop me from trading. This is totally decentralized. I don't need anybody's permission. That's amazing. And this is just going to get better and bigger and everything. The thing about with Bitcoin, though, when you can't take Bitcoin onto this Uniswap or Bitcoin onto Kyber and trade it for anything. You have to go on a decentralized exchange. So in a way, it's the total statist coin now, right? You have to go on to a centralized exchange, and there's sort of ways around that, right? You could go on Binance, and you can have a smaller account where you can do a little bit of trading, but you're still at their mercy, and they're still holding your coins. And if they get hacked or they decide like, oh, we're going to shut you down because your account's suspicious, you're screwed. You're screwed, right? So the safest way to do it is like to do everything by the book and dot all your I's and cross all your T's for the United States of America and pay all your taxes on every little crypto thing that you do. For some of you that do that, I feel bad for you because that's a stupid way to be. I'm going to pay for wars and friggin' all kinds of other bullshit. Go ahead, but then what the hell are you doing in crypto, right? You should just stay at Wells Fargo. So anyway, what this is with centralized exchanges, right? You have to give them basically your DNA, right? Your blood. You got to give them fingerprints. You got to hold up some of you have done it. You got to hold up a picture, or you got to hold up a little thing saying, hi, I want to do business on Coinbase. Here's my thing. Try to take a picture and send it in, and now they've got you covered. They've got you down. You're on the NSA radar and all that, right? So you're in the database, right? They know you're a crypto person. With ETH, you don't have to do that. You could just disappear from that BTC centralized world. Because if you want to trade BTC for anything, you have to go on these exchanges. They don't have anything decentralized, okay? So again, we're talking about things that are going to drive the value of ETH, right? What's going to drive the value of Bitcoin? Just another fool coming in back of you and buying that stupid, useless coin, right? I call it a surveillance coin because everything is fully trackable and all that. That's why I love Monero so much, right? Because it's private by default. You don't have to go doing mixing and doing all these things and send it to different exchanges to try to obfuscate where it came from or how you're going to cash it out. So anyway, I just think that with Ethereum, what are the downsides to Ethereum? Well, I think the only thing is that 2.0 scaling and moving from the POW to the proof of stake. There's some risk involved in there, but we got some of the smartest people in the world working on this, and they're taking their time to do it. In the meantime, ETH is just blowing up. Decentralized finance is doing things that are just mind-blowing. Again, I can't get into all that on here. I wanted to just make an argument today for ETH, why I'm like completely out of Bitcoin, and I don't believe in it anymore, and I think it's junk, absolute junk. And this decentralized finance movement is going to be the catalyst, I believe. Now, some of these things might blow up, some of these things might get hacked. It's possible, right? But life will go on if that happens. That's part of growth, right? When you're a kid and you're learning to ride a bike, you fall off, and that's going to happen. So if that happens, don't get scared away. I just think everything is going to blow up here so big, and this is the catalyst to the next bull run. And the next bull run will be led by Ethereum, and I think Ethereum over the next 2 years passes Bitcoin very easily in market cap and everything else, because we have underlying utility. which creates incredible value. And there's really nothing else to compare to it now. There are competing chains to Ethereum, and I'm invested in some of those projects too that are doing very interesting things. But the main thing too, and I forgot to mention this, and let me just end this video on this note. Probably the most important factor that I'm leaving out about Ethereum, in terms of why it's so valuable, aside from all these amazing things that are being built on top of it, and all the freedom and liberating aspects of finance which it brings to us in a decentralized and permissionless way, is the fact that there is no community, no development community that even can hold a candle to the development community that's on top of Ethereum. And a lot of that's because of the first mover advantage. It's not because it's the best chain. It's not because it does the fastest transactions. It doesn't. We know that. That's why they're moving to proof of stake rather than proof of work. But they have the developers. They have the brain share. They have an overwhelming majority of all of the top quality of the top quality devs are working in the Ethereum ecosystem, and that you cannot put a price tag on. And that is probably the number one thing that will drive the value. But now these developers have created solutions that are starting to really blossom and starting to really make people think like, wait a second, we don't need banks anymore. We don't need centralized exchanges anymore. We don't need any of these people, any of these rent-seeking middlemen that just have been gouging us and creating such inefficiencies in the market because they are bleeding us dry, right? So this is going to be an incredible time, and I hope you all get on board. At the very minimum, jump on board with Ethereum. And if any of you have great DeFi projects, I would love for you to hit me up. Let me know about them. Let me know what you like about them. Drop me a line, an email. And I'd really appreciate that because, it's only together that we can kind of cover all our bases. I know Palm Beach really helps do a lot of that. They've been great, I think, in the Crypto Income Quarterly, getting way ahead of things in a lot of ways, covering this DeFi movement. And I wish I paid more attention to it when the issues first came out because I was just so, just so busy. It's just so hard to cover everything. But you could bet I'm going to be, as soon as this last issue came out, I was reading every line as soon as it came out, and so I'm glued to it now. So anybody want the Crypto Income Quarterly, hit me up. And that's it. I just wanted to talk about this Ethereum today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you all soon. Take care and God bless.